No, no, no,
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an amazing day today. Hope you had a wonderful holiday, wherever you are, whatever you were celebrating. I hope you had a beautiful day. Now, obviously, you're noticing that there's not much happening in the charts. Well, that is actually because even though today is Monday, in the US, we are observing Christmas, so the stocks are closed, so that's why you're not really seeing any movement either in cryptocurrencies. But there is something that I did want to discuss. Now, obviously, the one thing that most people are talking about is the fact that this is the first time that Bitcoin has ever put in an annual candle, as in like a 12-month yearly candle that has closed below the previous candle. Now, I have heard some people saying that this is a bearish engulfing candle, which means that we're basically due for a giant reversal, and Bitcoin's going to go back to 3 cents? Well, no, not exactly, guys. And also, in order to be an engulfing pattern, and this is just a little bit of, if you guys want some education here, it actually has to literally engulf the previous candle, meaning the top and the bottom of these wicks would have to be, completely shadowed. And obviously, if we zoom in a little bit closer here, you guys can see that we did not engulf the top part of it on the year. So no, it's not a bearish engulfing candle, and no, Bitcoin is not going back to 3 cents, okay? So I just wanted to get that out of the way because a lot of people were talking about that. But something that I did want to talk about today, even though the price is boring, is that we've actually seen a JP Morgan analyst come out basically saying that institutions have zero interest in crypto, they're not going to be getting involved in it, and maybe they weren't even involved in the first place. Now, I know what you're saying, this obviously playing into the FUD and the narrative, but if you guys don't remember, JP Morgan does have quite a history of manipulating the markets, and if you don't remember the video that Tika Tawari put out a few years ago, I'm going to play that again for you today to show you exactly how these guys manipulate the markets and why you should not listen to them or believe in what they say.
He says it's a fraud.
Says he'd fire anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, so unethical.
And finally, I did want to just end on the fact that Mark Cuban, one of the other sharks involved in crypto, who has been quite quiet. In fact, he's been slowly unfollowing crypto Twitter accounts in the background. He has come out and spoke about his position on Bitcoin versus gold, and I actually found it to be quite interesting what he had to say. So if that sounds good to you guys, today's video is going to be a little bit shorter. There's really not too much TA to go over, but if you do want to get subscribed, definitely, get subscribed. We will go over that. So in a nutshell, super quick, like 5-second TA here, guys. We're still doing the same exact thing. We're bouncing within this range, basically between 17,006 and 15,005. And if we zoom in right here, we are in fact starting to put in an ascending triangle, which, typically would say that you would be looking for a breakout to the upside. So the breakout trade to take is if we get above 16,866 roughly. So we have that breakout, retest, and I do think our next target is 17,225. And I ultimately still think that we're going to come up here and at some point revisit the 17.5 level. Personally, I just don't think we have had enough of, that area. Obviously, we had this little Terra Luna wick that came down here. But yeah, that's my target. So I'm looking for a breakout to 17,600, provided that everything goes according to plan. Obviously, if we do have a breakout to the downside, the ultimate level to watch is 16,261, because after that, we have one stop down here at the bottom, and that's it. So, but like I said, I still do think that Bitcoin has not really seen enough of that. We haven't really seen any rebounds yet. So that's why I'm still saying that, we could be looking for that area. Obviously, if you guys want to learn how to trade, you know the drill, $56,000 in bonuses. If you want, you can go over to BitGet, enter NYNL for the code, or just use the link below and you guys get an extra $18,000, right? But as I said, we are coming very close to the end of this. We only have maybe about 1, 2, maybe 3 weeks possibly before we come to the end of this pattern. I am expecting a major breakout or breakdown. And the interesting thing, I just wanted to point this out, just super quick side note. So if you've noticed what Bitcoin has been doing, so these are, so we have this 21 exponential, this green moving average, right? That's very straightforward. Generally speaking, when Bitcoin breaks above it, We usually go on a bull run. When it breaks below it, we usually end up in a little bit of a bear. So currently, that level is sitting at around 19,788. So you would just want to get above this green line. But as far as, calling these bottoms, something really interesting is if we look at the 200 weekly, so that's this line. And you can see right here, we had bottomed on the 200 weekly, right? And then over here on the COVID crash, we came and look what we touched there. We touched the 300 weekly. So first we bottomed on the 200, then we bottomed on the 300. So, and this is just pure speculation. This isn't anything technical. Don't take this with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt, essentially. But what if Bitcoin follows this pattern of going from the 200 to the 300 and now to the 400? The 400 puts us, this is absolutely mind-blowing. The 400 puts us at 13,847. That's this purple line right here. So is it possible that is where Bitcoin is going to bottom out since we keep dropping, every 100 on the weekly? And check this out. This is what is even crazier. If we take that level, just forget my drawings over here, right? And let me put this back on, and I want to make sure I get this accurate. So, we have right here, this close, right? So this is on Brave New Coin Liquid Index. So this is roughly about right there, right? Where we have all that interest. Now let's go back to the weekly and look at that, guys. Look at that line. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? Look at that purple line right there. Absolutely crazy, guys. So, I just think that's really interesting how, they all kind of line up right there with those closes. So really, really interesting, guys. Let me know what you guys think. But look, getting back to Bitcoin and the doom and gloom and the death of Bitcoin, Bitcoin obituaries. Bitcoin has died over 467 times. You can actually go through this website, and every time there's an article that comes out and says Bitcoin is dead, Bitcoin is dying, nobody's interested, it's going to zero. So yeah, it's died 467 times. And you can see right here, this is from Crypto Potato, institutions are not interested in crypto. Okay, this is what a JP Morgan senior investment strategist argued recently, indicating that the interest in the asset class from such investors is effectively non-existent. There were multiple reports during this cycle that large individual investors as well as institutions are getting on the bandwagon, including Mass Mutual, One River, and others, but JP Morgan senior investment analyst Jared Gross believes that this interest has either disappeared or has never been at the scene at all. As an asset class, crypto is effectively non-existent for most institutional investors. The volatility is too high, and the lack of intrinsic return that you can point to makes it very challenging. Most institutional investors probably are breathing a sigh of relief that they didn't jump into the crypto market and are probably not going to be doing so anytime soon. It's worth noting, however, that JP Morgan has always had a controversial relationship with the crypto industry. In fact, it almost seems like it uses the bull markets to ramp up the market, which was the case following Mass Mutual's purchase, and the bear cycles to predict even gloomier developments. But some of you may remember this video, The Great Crypto Conspiracy, shout out to CoinHooked RIP, that basically put this out. Tika Tawari was speaking, and he was talking about JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, and this video is like 13 minutes long, but this is the clip I wanted to show you guys. And he basically discusses how very often these guys, these big players, they will say one thing and do something completely different. And that's not illegal. So I wouldn't necessarily trust some of this FUD that's coming out right now, especially knowing that these guys probably want to push the prices lower to get in at cheaper, levels.
So this blueprint of creating fear in order to get cheap prices is nothing new. This has really been extremely egregious. So on September 12th, Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks,
People listen.
people listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal.
He says it's a fraud.
It says he'll fire anyone that buys it.
Fire.
Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying
His
it.
company is buying it.
It's just, so unethical.
Right.
So I know it can be tough, especially if you've gotten into crypto recently, but you have to understand this asset class is going absolutely nowhere. Now, a lot of people are still just talking about, Bitcoin has no value, gold, that's where the real value's in. And even guys like Gareth Soloway, who are actually bullish on gold and bearish on Bitcoin in the short term, even he says that he believes that Bitcoin is going to be the better store of value and will outpace gold, in the next 5 to 10 years. And even Mark Cuban was talking to Bill Maher, and this has not even aired yet, by the way. This is a transcript of an episode that's supposed to be airing today, a podcast. But he says in the Club Random podcast, so he was talking about Bitcoin, Mark Cuban, and he goes on to state that Bitcoin is an excellent investment and wants the price to drop further so he can purchase more. Now, he's outwardly saying he wants the price to drop lower so he can purchase more. I think what these guys, JP Morgan, are doing is they're trying to FUD the markets to push the price down so they can buy more, because we've seen what they've done in the past, right? So for the most part, you have Bill Maher saying that he is very anti-Bitcoin and he has his full faith in gold. But Cuban says, you know what? If you own gold, you're dumb as F. He says you're dumb as F if you own gold. He noted on Twitter last month that he has remained involved in crypto because he believes in smart contracts, one of the major underlying technologies that enables crypto transactions. The podcast host then contended that gold is a hedge against everything and never goes away. And Cuban said, no, but it's not a hedge against anything, right? What it is a store of value, and you don't own the physical gold, do you? Gold is a stored value, and so is Bitcoin. And most people don't even actually own the physical gold anyway. So it's interesting. Mark Cuban, keep in mind, this is another guy years ago. He was saying he would rather own bananas. Literally, that's a quote. You can Google it. He said, I'd rather own bananas than Bitcoin. And now he's saying that Bitcoin is better than gold. And if you own gold, then you're dumb AF, basically. Right? So just wanted to point that out there. And one more thing I wanted to end on before we go is, of course, what we've been seeing with these accumulations. Now, Glassnode has pointed out that Bitcoin accumulation addresses are more numerous than ever before, while the Bitcoin balance they contain is almost at a record high. Accumulation addresses are defined as addresses that have had at least 2 incoming non-dust transfers and have never spent funds. And for everyone's asking, they have excluded wallets that have not been active for 7 years or longer, because those Bitcoin are assumed to be lost forever. And they have also excluded miner wallets and exchange wallets as well, right? So this is definitely individual wallets. So despite the accumulation addresses contained a total of almost 3 million as of December 21st. Now, what's interesting is they talk about bullish whale selling. So remember a few days ago, we were talking about how there were these massive whale wallets that were selling. But what they noted was that larger whale holders selling into smaller holders or retail is actually what you want to see if you believe in the long-term Bitcoin thesis, because that makes Bitcoin more distributed on the network, right? There's a lot of people that complain about the Bitcoin centralization. Well, when these big whales, so you have like one whale that sells into retail, now that one entity has distributed its funds to all of these retail holders, which does in fact make it a good thing for Bitcoin. It makes it more distributed, right? You want more people holding it. You don't want it all concentrated in one area. So the interesting thing is these numbers are closing at an all-time high, almost up to 3.4 million that we saw in August of 2015. Now, what's interesting is you have to consider the price of Bitcoin in 2015, right? So it was a lot easier to have more Bitcoin in your wallet because the price was much, much, much cheaper in 2015. But the fact that we're only 400,000 Bitcoin roughly away from all-time high definitely is showing us that we are seeing this distribution and we are seeing long-term hodlers accumulating. So I just wanted to end today on a little bit of positive note. Probably not going to see any price action until tomorrow at some point when we do have stocks reopen. Volatility is getting very low. I do expect a big move at some point, like I said, within the next 3 weeks. Maybe, we might see a little bit of a downwards move. Who knows? Maybe they'll try to tax loss harvest, right? These guys, they try to write off their taxes at the end of the year, and then come January we might actually see, you know, a little bit of a relief rally, which is what I'm definitely anticipating. So that's it for me. And of course, guys, if you want to get your coins off exchanges, make sure you guys check out the Ledger Nano S, which is what I use. I have ordered a Ledger Stacks. Obviously, they don't come out till March. They look cool as hell. If you guys haven't checked them out, if you guys want to support the channel, those links are below. But ultimately, guys, that's it for me. Thank you for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos. Hope you had an awesome holiday. Today's basically like another weekend because there's not much going on. And you know, with the stocks, it is technically a, you know, they're observing Christmas on the stock market. So tomorrow, I think, is when we're going to really start seeing things move. So make sure you get subscribed. Make sure you turn on the bell notification, and we will be updating these videos. And also, if you guys haven't followed me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, I'm also over there when I'm not over here. So you guys don't want to miss out. Check that out. Also, make sure you check out this video popping up right here, right now. Until next time, guys, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.